afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very early edition of the Nexus Gaming Series. We are in the semifinals here, the last game of the Division D West playoffs before finals. I am your host, Cat Peach, and today I am joined with the ever so lovely Sweet Buns. How you doing today, bud?
Oh, I'm doing so fine. Midterms are over!
Yes! That is always good to hear. And now you get to focus on a really good Heroes of the Storm game, so that's a win for everyone, I would say. Taking a look at the bracket of what we've had so far in the playoffs here for NGS. So on the western side, Off-Brand Cereal dropping their first map of this entire season, but still taking out Lightly Salted up in those semifinals. But today, we're going to see Longhorn Gaming, the number 2 seed, taking on Mildly Interesting at number 6, who were able to 2-0 Spicy Boys. So I feel like with that kind of minor upset earlier in the series, Sweet Buns, it sounds like Mildly Interesting might actually give Longhorn Gaming a run for their money here.
Do either of these teams have a specific drafting history?
So these teams, I was looking at the stats earlier, and we can actually get to that to draft. Meriden, I think, is going to be highly contested amongst these two teams, as it's the only overlapping like top 3 pick of either of them. But we can get more into what those look like in a bit. Looking at the kind of bans that happened before the game started, the Longhorn Gaming banning out Full Sky Foundry, while we had Battlefield of Eternity taken out by Mildly Interesting, who are also taking us to Infernal Shrines for game number 1. And it looks like these teams are super eager to get started, and I totally see why. So let's get this shindig started. Go. There we go. Infernal Shrines. So let's actually take a peek here on Infernal Shrines. So Longhorn Gaming, having come to this map a bit more than their opponents so far this season, which is a bit surprising, as this was Mildly Interesting's map choice. So maybe it's something they want to get out of the way early, or maybe it's just been something they've been practicing on. Quick bans, though, coming out from both teams.
Alright, a Valera ban probably going to go with a Diablo ban, as he may be adverse to single target compositions. Whereas a Kel'Thas, a safe mage pick, also getting a lot of value on the objective, and benefits a lot from the many choke points on this map, such as Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo we often see ban here just because there's so many walls for him to shadow charge onto and really capitalize on getting out those stuns. The Asmodan still seeing a lot of bans here, even though there's a lot of question on the actual strength. I'm surprised to see the Sonya ban here. I feel like there's maybe a couple other offlane picks that we see more commonly.
Like Kerrigan.
Like Kerrigan, who sneaks through this draft and is instantly snapped here.
Going to see a lot of Q resets on the Shrine, which in turn will build her up a lot of shields, perhaps pre and during the team fights on the Shrines. Now, maybe Diablo will finally come out. One thing he definitely has an impact on is how people approach the objective in the first place and where people team fight. If you have Diablo or are facing a Diablo, you simply cannot fight him on a mercenary camp. But Johanna and Anna, Johanna may be anticipating a Maiev pick possibly to get those like pre-bind blinds. Whereas Ana is just a very greedy backline DPS, and they are getting Diablo and Kerrigan against an Ana. I would be very scared if I was Ana right now. Johanna does pack quite a bit of sorry.
No, it's okay, go for it.
Johanna does pack quite a bit of like burst crowd control for the start of fights, but with Kerrigan having 2 charges on Ravage and Diablo having the big charge, that's very difficult to react to. I doubt Johanna can keep him off the back line here.
I feel like, in general, that Longhorn Gaming right now just has the most I don't even say like the most meta composition so far.
The
They
most
just have like
Infernal
the
Shrines
most
draft you've ever seen.
yes, and it's
We've got
like
Alex Straza popping.
I know we got
We're
Alex
gonna boost
Strauzo with
bio
that
on that
Dragon Queen.
objective.
Like, do we see a Dahaka come in just to be like, here's some more shrine clear on top of
Oh,
everything? Like,
not a Dahaka. If they go Dahaka, they're going to have way too much in the front line and become very vulnerable to AoE, especially with Johanna clumping them. That is really a no-go.
I'm confused by the Greymane ban, and for me, with the Ana, I'm wondering if someone's trying to sneak a Cho'Gall in here. I think
Oh
it would be
no.
very
Oh no.
advantageous. Like, it doesn't make sense with the Johanna, but looking at what's transpired
It
thus
makes all the
far,
sense with the Johanna. One thing Cho'Gall lacks is the ability to wave clear on the entire map. So you want your main tank to peel for you, the support, and wave clear on its own.
aw, the dream's over. We see the Jaina Abathur pick up here. Mildly interesting.
And I do understand the Greymane ban as he's just huge follow-up damage for Kerrigan and Diablo's setup, as well as just a hyper carry damage in general, which can splat and the cocktail which splashes off the objective's minions. Very standard, I'd say. But the Abathur I find pretty curious.
Hanzo Urel rounding this out, so you're all for that off lane. Hanzo with a bit more of that poke, a bit more of that scatter arrow damage coming in.
Not only is that a triple front line they've drafted, that's kind of a clumpy front line, especially if you consider the nature of Alex Straza's heals. She might want to go Q build to compensate, and Urel might want to go for like drastic flanks to make sure they are not hit by Jaina's nano-boosted AoE. Leoric comes in. That's going to be a huge burn onto their combos as well as like single target focus they're trying to make. Is March of the Black King giving him Unstoppable in addition to the Unstoppable in his base kit is going to make it very hard to take him down, and if you do, if you try, his team's going to burn you for it. The only thing I would say the right team is lacking right now is sustained damage of any kind.
Yeah, all the damage is really put into that Jaina, which when you're waiting for that Blizzard to come back off cooldown, you're kind of just dilly-dallying for a while, waiting for that all to be available. And so, I mean, Leoric can go in and, you know, try to make some space, Johanna as well, but with Jaina being that primary damage, if she's not able to do so, you're not really engaging, and so there's a very set moment in time where Mildly Interesting, I think, can really initiate into these fights, and if they're not really swinging in their favor quickly, then they're going to have to kind of quickly back out.
We might possibly see if our great Diablo Kerrigan Urel dive combo goes strictly for the back line, ignoring Leoric for the most part. Leoric may be going in Tomb to help peel, as well as combo with Nano Boost Jaina.
Nano Boost Jaina is always a really good time.
Abathur clone Jaina. And Abathur clone Jaina. They were just going to be dumping it down.
Yeah, it should be a good time. Let's get into this, though. Game number 1. On the left in blue, we are going to have Longhorn Gaming. We're going to have Crady34 on that Diablo. Lumiere on the Alex Straza. We're going to have Hanzo played by Paul DeSoup. Up top, we're going to have Urel played by Ruste, I believe. He's moving so fast. Pizza Dog, though, hanging in the back, playing on that Kerrigan.
And on the right side, on Mildly Interesting, from the bottom to the top, we have Jaina, played by MS Windup Bird, Johanna, played by Happy Pants, Walrek on the Jaina booster, Rally on the anti-combo Leoric, and Magnum Opus playing the clone Jaina in the top lane right now.
I'm trying to... I mean, Jaina is the likely option. I wonder if we see maybe a double Leoric.
A double Leoric.
That would just be kind of entertaining. So, totally different scenario, but I was casting an ARAM where there was a double Leoric that showed up. And 2 Leorics at once gets real crazy real fast. But Jaina, the likely target here. Everyone just kind of sticking to their lane, trying to get that early cleared. Jaina, though, pushing carrying back just a bit. Diablo coming down, though. Missed Wind Up Bird. She did. little too extended there, very early, especially against that Kerrigan. Russell getting harassed a bit here by Rally and Urel.
You have to keep in mind the very short rotation path between the bottom and mid lanes. And the moment somebody dies, even with the short death timers, you want that lane soak covered immediately, as the minions offer bonus soak experience for the first couple waves of the game. Now let's see here. We have the Jaina, not Johanna, going for the mercenary camp while Abathur soaks at bottom. A curious lane matchup, Leoric for Alexstrasza, at least until Urel tags in. Although she appears to be going for a surprise attack on Leoric.
Yeah, Creedy going right in, trying to possibly steal this camp. Miss Winupper taking a lot of damage. Jaina is going to fall. Call to Suit coming in to support the rest of the team, and this is a camp steal in favor of Longhorn Gaming. 2 minutes into this game, deciding to be very aggressive in that rotation there.
Diablo and Kerrigan with their sheer camp control on this map. The way the camps are walled off, you just don't want to be on a camp versus Diablo. And Kerrigan with just area control in general. Really not helping mildly interesting in this case.
Yeah, not at all. As we talked about, just letting Kerrigan through on this draft, I think, is going to be the bane of mildly interesting's existence throughout this entire game. And as you were talking about, the first shrine is about to activate, and we're going to see Kerrigan really building up those shields with that very quick Q bounce around that she is able to do on those skeletal defenders. So I think this first shrine is going to be a bit difficult for mildly interesting at this point. But we're going to have to see how hard they're going to go into defending it.
Ana stepping up a little bit too far in mid lane, gets grabbed by Diablo and promptly flipped into a wall for the follow-up damage by Hanzo. Diablo flipping Ana into a wall allowed for a perfect scatter arrow, shredding her health bar.
Right before the shrine means that this should be very early lead, if not guaranteed, Punisher for Longhorn Gaming here. But the rest of the remainder, mildly interesting, trying to go on to Caldo Suit, gets the flip over the wall, gets away. Alexstrasza with the floor heal.
Hanzo looking a little low in the back, however mildly interesting has no way to get to that back line. Sans Leoric with Abathur hat on him.
Yeah, that Abathur hat, if there's one thing that's going to give Kerrigan a very hard time, it's if she's going in and just getting a lot of damage from that Abathur hat. Mildly interesting, doing a really good job at least keeping Longhorn off of this point for the time being. Resta taking a bit of damage as well. So they're going to keep off for a bit while mildly interesting actually start the shrine here.
Another fight brews mid. Leoric gets a full spooky head. And the dragon comes out, hopefully to turn this shrine around.
Yeah, I was just thinking, the stall... Ooh. Grasped by Kerrigan.
She has not burned her unstoppable, is taken down anyway.
Yeah, Happy Pants going to fall here. Retreat should be on from Mildly Interesting. What I realized before, during the fight where Mildly Interesting was just pushing back Longhorn, it was giving Abathur time to really soak up there in the top lane, and the longer that this goes on and he's able to do that, a bit more of experience creep that we see from the Slugs. So very interesting play coming out from them.
Unfortunately, the only way to delay this objective is to kill enough minions so that the spawns are disproportionate to, like, getting the full objective. If that's sufficient explanation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's still an attempt, and it got them a little bit something. Even after a couple of those kills, they were seeing a little bit of an experience lead on their side, but they do have to defend against this Arcane Punisher now. I suppose it's good that they're getting the Arcane one out of the way this early in the game. It just is a bit unfortunate for Mildly Interesting. If they do get a Punisher of their own later, not going to be as strong. Rally taking a lot of the damage, though, ends up using the Wraith Block to get away.
Going to be using that fountain before it gets taken down.
And Ana just shooting darts at this Punisher like she does.
Oh, they're going for a full dive here. Punisher's down. The minion wave just came in. Diablo's going for a grab on somebody. Anybody bashes Leoric into the tower.
Nothing grabs.
Minion wave's about to go down. They'll have to call this off without getting any kills in a flat second. But no, less minions dead. The tower is shooting. Johanna is keeping them around with the slows and stuns. And Kerrigan goes, along with the anti-heal provided by Ana. And Diablo will be next, the Leoric with a Ghost Chase.
And that Soul's reset on Diablo as well here, which is, I think, a very early reset. Also gives, again, a little bit of an experience edge. Good rebound there from Mildly Interesting, waiting for that wave to clear so that the tower ended up shooting.
Is Yarel going down in the top lane? To the Abathur Jaina. Chased right across the top from hitting the towers. And meanwhile, a fight on the left camp.
Yeah, camp grabbed here by Mildly Interesting, stealing one of their own in revenge of that early camp steal from Longhorn Gaming. It shouldn't get really any value. Quick cleanup from
Mildly
Longhorn.
Interesting about to hit level 10. Pardon.
Level 10's grab. We're gonna see Ring Frost coming out from Jaina. Nano boost, of course. Monstrosity, though.
Monstrosity?
Monstrosity pickup for Abathur. Which I was not expecting here. But, so going back to the discussion about if there are ways to delay the shrine, if you're forcing Longhorn Gaming to kind of spread their resources, have to deal with that monstrosity, or say if they're not responding to it, just try to keep them off the shrine point so they can't capture any of those skeletal defenders. It's hard with, I think, the composition that Mildly Interesting has, but as we saw earlier, it's not impossible, and so maybe they're banking on that to try to get that edge and experience.
Leoric putting a lot of pressure on Kerrigan in the bottom lane. If he gets an Abathur hat, this might be a kill.
Creedy coming in, though, for the support. The Abathur hat is there. This should be a disengage, but Rally still going in. Mimir coming in. Heal up. Longhorn.
Yarel timing the top left camp perfectly for the objective. Unfortunately, it's popping in the same lane the Mercs will be pushing.
I'm curious to see
Meanwhile, a gank on the bottom camp.
Yeah, get the bottom camp for Mildly Interesting. That's going to be great, especially with that monstrosity pushing. So Longhorn Gaming going to stick around, see if they can clear that out. Rally also hanging around for a little bit. And this is a great setup for Mildly Interesting. They've got pressure in the bot that is distracting most of Longhorn's team, giving them the time to start working on those skeletal defenders. The monstrosity goes down pretty fast, though. The rotation's on.
Mildly Interesting getting an early start on the shrines. Diablo, Hanzo, and Alexstrasza having a very slow rotation to the top.
Dragon
Here
Arrow.
goes Dragon Arrow. We might see something off of this.
Just misses. Happy
There
pants.
goes Dragon Arrow.
It came, it saw.
But they clump up for Diablo and Kerrigan. Kerrigan doesn't quite get a follow-up stun, but a huge March of the Black King goes through, rips through my Longhorn Gaming.
Yeah, first fall onto Diablo. Happy Pants taking a bit of damage, though. Tries to retreat, but Johanna is going to go down. Rally trying to finish off the damage onto Pizza Dog. The cleansing Flame comes out, but Kerrigan going to fall in the process. Rally getting really low. Walrix trying to keep
Did that
Leoric
cleansing
alive.
flame miss, or was it anti-heal on her? It looked like a very narrow miss to me. Nonetheless, with the way things are looking, 3v3, it looks like Longhorn Gaming has won the objective with the amount of clear available to them. But Abathur hat Leoric, Hanzo's going to be jumping just away with a sliver of a health bar.
Oh, it's so close.
Diablo's coming in. He will get that Ana.
Going in onto Walrax. The flip is there. Rusted with the Goomba. But Walrax going to get away. Ana survives for another day. Alexstrasza, though, going to fall here.
Alexstrasza goes. Goodness, meanwhile, Monstrosity and Abathur are heftily pushing that bottom lane. We're seeing Longhorn split to cover for the lanes, while lanes Abathur has been double soaking and double pushing. With nobody left to support the Punisher, who is going to fall quickly to the burst damage of Mildly Interesting.
Yeah, they have a lot of that burst like you were talking about to clear that quickly, so I feel like they're okay kind of giving away those Punishers, at least so far. I would really hate to see if they still gave them away as this game gets later. I think it's going to be slightly harder for them to pull that off. But for now, being able to bank on the monstrosity, catching up in that experience while they have to defend top lane, I think is a very good trade-off, and they're seeing a pretty significant advantage here so far. They have the only structure down in the game is the only other thing, so when do we start to see the structure damage coming out from Mildly Interesting to kind of catch up in that regard?
Longhorn Gaming wants to take out this monstrosity soon before it stacks and becomes a huge boon to them in the teamfight, which we have right now. Diablo goes down quickly. Urel trying to knock people away while the monstrosity is going in on their front line.
Monstrosity team fight for the win. Pizza Dog trying to get away. The Cleansing Flame is there to keep Kerrigan topped off for the time being. The Sleep Dart was on Pizza Dog, going to fall. Lumiere should fall soon. She's trying to get away. Happy Pants not able to secure the kill there. Ruste, though, will go down instead, and that is 3 kills here in favor of Mildly Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen the Monstrosity in a team fight before, and oh golly, was that worth.
It's it entirely depends on whether the monstrosity is stacked or not. It makes a monstrosity have a much larger health bar and do much more damage. It can carry a team fight.
Yeah, monstrosity almost out of health there. Still getting a bit of value. 16's come in for Mildly Interesting. So they're sitting at 2 levels, a talent lead on their opponents. Building up that macro pressure, they were able to take out the top 4 as well. So we're really starting to see Mildly Interesting kind of turn around and say, we have a counter for that Kerrigan. We're not too worried about her, so let her slip in because we know we can take those fights with her.
Do we have a team fight on our hands? Perhaps Longhorn Gaming will fight under the tower, but refuses to go to the flank, especially in that face of, well, it's a very low health monstrosity. Let's call it a 5v4.5, but with 16... a bit too dicey.
Yeah, it could have been risky. And like you were saying, I do like the call of just fighting under the fort. Clear the lanes, make sure you have that additional damage to assist with you, rather than fight away from it and not necessarily have that, and maybe even throw. When you have that talent disadvantage, coming in for an aggressive flank like that is very risky. I like this
Eyes
camp
are
steal.
on the camp in the top left. Urel might be going in to smack them off the point and interrupt. No, they're going to be forced to clear that hard camp before even going to the objective, or it's going to push very hard with the help of Abathur. We see the monstrosity going right to the objective. It is practically another hero right now.
I don't think I've ever seen the monstrosity play this way, and I'm so intrigued by the whole thing.
It's a bit too low health, I would say, to be a huge contributor, but Kerrigan going in misses a combo. Heals from Alex Strauss onto Diablo. Kerrigan being rebutted by Leoric and walks slowly out.
Cleansing Flame used, keep Creedy alive.
Just to get everybody up to top. In between fights. Dragon Form should be coming up in just a moment.
38 skeletal defenders, though. Mortar Punisher going over to Mildly Interesting, finally getting their first of this game. Should be able to take out that bottom
Lyric's slowing them down. Here comes the Punisher.
Punisher leap. Kerrigan goes down. Creedy taking a bunch of that damage now. Riley going in, though. Dem coming out from Johanna, getting the kill onto Diablo there. And Riley is just chasing on the remains of Longhorn right now.
Leoric becoming much more than a shrine clear anti-combo. He has been diving and enabling engagements in general. Meanwhile, Urel is forced to clear the big Abathur push mid with all the Locusts and the Monstrosity. The Monstrosity does go down, a tragic loss given how stacked it was.
Got a fort, though.
And a keep will be coming up.
Yeah, that keep should be going down. An additional camp pressure immediately being picked up by Miss Windup Bird there. So even after the Punisher is down, there is so much that Longhorn needs to go and clean up. The Punisher isn't even completely finished yet. There it goes. Finally he falls. But
At
now,
the moment,
go for it.
Mildly Interesting does not want a team fight. They want level 20 before anything. They don't have a stacked monstrosity nor any significant numerical advantage that doesn't have to do with team comp. So Jaina's just going to be getting the mercenary camps. Abathur will be soaking the top lane with that to race to that level 20. They'll be hard engaging like no tomorrow. The Orc taking down a few walls, probably to help the Abathur out. There's a couple things to consider, but we have a team fight going on the bottom, right as Mildly Interesting hits level 20.
Yeah, level 22, Ring of Frost going out. Roots 4 and 4 members immediately falling from Longhorn Gaming, and Pizza Dog is on the run, but Rally able to ghost his way in there. Maelstrom coming out, but Pizza Dog is just delaying the inevitable. Jaina being able to survive, getting the completion on that Frostbite quest, being able to pop into stasis, and this charge now going into core.
You could not hope for a better Ring of Frost. Oh goodness.
I wish I had replay availability, because I just want to see specifically how quickly in time, how many milliseconds it took from full health to no health on Longhorn Gaming. Game number 1. Mildly Interesting. Again, they're showing they're the lower seeded team in this matchup, but they are playing like they are not. They are coming in with such ferocity here. Even taking a look at those stats too. 17 kills to 6 against a team with a Kerrigan. That's what is really grabbing me, Sweet Bones, is that this was against a Kerrigan. And usually when the Kerrigan gets picked up at this point, everyone's just kind of like, GG, game over, like they got Kerrigan. And we really see her dominate, but she was struggling in this entire match.
The only times they were able to get on Ana were times like when the respawn timers weren't read so well, when just miscalculations were made. But in the fair 5v5 team fight, they were hardly able to scratch the back line, even with the coordinated dives. And at the very end, the choke point, in addition to the level 20s, really killed them. They had all 3 frontliners in addition to someone else in that choke point for the Ring of Frost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was. I just keep thinking back to that last Ring of Frost and how that was I think that might have been the most pretty Ring of Frost I've seen in my life. Just the amount of heroes, how quickly they fell. Great coordinated effort for Mildly Interesting, and I'm curious what's going to come out in Game 2. We're just getting in touch with teams to see where we're going to go.
2 times sleep from Ana for the setup. Thank you for that, Felon. I missed that. I always miss the sleep darts.
That's why I would love to see like a slow-mo replay there.
Wait, blinding sleep darts?
Let's see. I'm just getting lobby set up, so bear with me for just a second.
Okay, the way blinding sleep darts would make sense to me, full sleep build. But that doesn't necessarily mean blinding sleep darts. Like, it makes Kerrigan miss her autos, it makes Yrel miss her autos as well, with that very popular level 1 talent, Murad's healing on basic attack. It does deplete that bit of value, in addition to maybe Kerrigan's AoE auto attacks. I know on some auto attacks, if you blind, the AoE doesn't hit either. The Kerrigan's AoE auto attacks, of course, being a very popular talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you summed it up perfectly. When you're blinded, it's kind of like, well, so much for that. So even with the early Ana pickup then, in that regard, that should have been something I feel like Longhorn Gaming was trying to keep in mind. Maybe they were banking on Ana not hitting those so consistently in such clutch moments. Could be the only kind of thing I'm thinking of there. Oops. You are a player, not an observer. But getting into, and I did it again.
Pizza dog, get out.
Game 2 though. Longhorn Gaming picking map pick here, so they're going to take us the Tomb of the Spider Queen. Let's see. And where is our other team?
Heroes I'm looking forward to Tomb of the Spider Queen. I will always be looking forward to Junkrat with his non-stop and absolutely incessant ways to interrupt the objective. Chromie, the same thing. Chromie has been buffed and has actually been seen in HGC as a Sergeant Hammer counterpick. And maybe more. Definitely not as so much of a conventional pick, but Tomb of the Spider Queen was one of her best maps because of the amount of distance from the objective, the center of the map, to the safety of your own towers, where people will be less likely to dive you.
Angus, thank you so much for clipping that ring because we are definitely going to take a look at that a bit later.
They put a ring on it and we like it.
I like it. I like it. Alright, looks like teams are ready here as we get into game number 2. Who has better win rate here? So this is yet again another map where Longhorn has spent a lot of time and actually has a 100% win rate on, so this is one that they're pretty comfortable with. On the side of mildly interesting, though, only playing it once and losing that match. So Longhorn feeling like they can bring this to game 3 here. Tomb of the Spider Queen. And let's get to it. So you're talking about heroes we'd like to see here. We saw a couple interesting bands coming out in game 1. I suspect that we might still see a Kael'thas band here. This is still a map that he does show up a bit just because of the clumping around those turn-in points.
But it's not so much of a choke point around the turn-in points, more at the entry to the turn-in points themselves. Whereas it's generally more open-ended than a lot of other objectives.
So the Sonya ban in game 1 makes more sense because there is Longhorn has a 65% first pick rate with her. What's her pick rate overall?
I think I'll never not appreciate a Kael'thas spam just because I don't have to sweat about chain bombs in Sun King's Fury.
That is, yeah, that's just one of those things you're like, take it off the table so we don't even have to think about possibly spreading that out.
It just stresses me out every time I see one on the screen.
Just the noise. I hear the noise and I suddenly just panic and I'm like, uh-oh, where is it? Where is it? Or like when you hear the pyroblast like actually forming up and you're like, uh-oh. And there's nothing you can do about it. Sonya's still being banned out, as is Valera. Now with those comfort picks, it seems, for both teams. I'm curious if we still see the Asmodean ban in this slot as with last game. And then we will just have the exact same bans in this draft as the last game.
Kerrigan and Asmodean are available right now.
That is true.
In addition to Raynor. Oh, Tiranda also sporting a very high win rate right now.
Kerrigan gets banned out, taking her off the table.
So it begins. Oh no, he said, okay, it's that skin, prove me wrong. Alright, I get it. No. But one thing I do love is when Asmodean is picked, followed by Deckard, so it's like, so it begins. Mm-hmm. So it begins.
It's so awesome. I'm excited to see some dunks coming out from Mildly Interesting. I actually wonder how often they've possibly played the Asmodean so far.
Oh no.
Jaina Garrosh, that
we
spells...
know exactly where this goes.
We get taunts, we get follow-up damage.
Ready for action.
Muradin coming out.
I'm surprised it's not something like ETC, with the pushback being especially effective against Garrosh. But Muradin does pack a lot of sustained value for a team fight, as well as plenty of health able to tank the burst and getaway options.
Mm-hmm.
Going to see that Ana again. Who will receive the nano boost, if at all? A very greedy backline of and a pretty good choice against Garrosh, if I do say so myself. You can sleep Garrosh. You can also like Garrosh has great pick game, but he has a poor approach game. He has to walk towards you, maybe slowing you and mini stunning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the one thing that, Garrosh kind of fell off for a while as kind of like the big priority main tank, and I think because of a lot of that engagement like you talked about, he's just a bit kind of the same problems that Arthas has, where it's just like he's great when she's in, but it's that process of getting him in, and also the lack of retreat that makes it really tricky to kind of play around him. I'm very interested about this Brightwing ban, taking out the global. It doesn't come up too often since their rework, so it's not a healer I was necessarily thinking a lot about.
And another reason Ana's quite good against Garrosh is that she has that cleanse on slows and roots, good against Jaina and Garrosh for bonus healing power and allowing people to play the keep away game. Now, Genji and Tyrande, we know exactly where this is going. Okay, Garrosh throws, Tyrande Jaina follow up, Genji does a little dance until it's his cue to finish from halfway across the map. And for their 5th pick, I would predict they get something with a little bit more engage to help them with that supreme rotation. And we're seeing Nazebo pop out, and another anti-frontline choice with zoning Toads and Gargantuan and Wall able to keep frontline and mid-range alike away. And a very good nano boost target. Li Ming also very good nano boost target. Mm-hmm. Goodness. But what we're seeing from the right team that I'm not all for is quadruple frontline. I mean quadruple backline.
Murden's got a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. Quadruple backline is not only clumpy by nature, it gives the enemy team more AoE value. You don't have a whole lot of net health bar. Not looking at Asmodan. And generally, if they have any frontline or flankers on the opposing side, it's just strictly a numerical advantage for them. Hopefully, the health bars as well as anti-frontline tools provided by Nazebo, and to a degree Asmodan with his laser, might be able to help them out in this case.
There's one thing we haven't talked about, and it's that 5th pickup Alarak coming out.
Finally.
We've got the character that talks down to everyone all game. Coming out. I mean, there's a bit of engage there if Alarak can kind of get those.
Plenty of engage. Yeah. With the extra range on telekinesis, he's practically putting them into the hands of Garrosh. And Ana can't cleanse that either.
It's always curious to see how those play out overall, I think, with Alarak. So they're either like super amazing or maybe a little bit not so much, but we'll see the effect here. Game number 2, mildly interesting. Can they go 2-0, or can Longhorn Gaming take a game on this series? In the blue, we're going to see Rusta on the Alarak. Lumiere is going to be on Tyrande. Pizza Dog on the Genji. Krieg 34 on the Garrosh. And on the Jaina, Caldo Soup.
And on the right, we have Team Mildly Interesting. Bottom to the top, we have Nazebo going straight for the soak, played by MS Windup Bird. In the middle, we have Happy Pants on Mirrodin, Walrex on Ana, Magnum Opus on Alzheimer, and Rally on Li Ming, and the fight begins. But it is a 5v4 right now.
Longhorn immediately with that engage, almost getting a lot of damage onto the Happy Pants, was able to Dork Puff out of there. Alarak also missing on the pullback in. Miss Windup Bird, on the other hand, just going right to bottom, starting to get those toads, starting to build up those stacks.
Now, another thing about Mildly Interesting's team composition is that their big late-game investment between Asmodan and Nazebo. One thing that's quite popular on this map is having Nazebo. Oh, gank on Nazebo by Genji. Alarak pulls him in, does not quite land the follow-up. One thing that's quite popular on this map, I'm not going to think about like the old days of Asmodan taste for blood right now. He does take Gluttony, so killing minions with the Qs won't be so relevant. but Nazebo may be considering. Okay, goodness. Nazebo may be considering rotating between the bottom and mid lane. Very short rotation path, extra stacks for you, and your team can just not kill minions unless they have the poison on them to optimize stacking.
I'll keep an eye on how Zebo kind of approaches that as the series goes on.
Oh, another late game investment is Anna's sleep dart build. She really needs to hit those darts.
So overall, it seems like early game we might see mildly interesting give up a lot, maybe give up the first objective overall, but as you're saying, once Asmo is really stacked up, once Nazebo is really stacked up, they are menaces all over their opponents on this map. But right now, they're holding their own. Slight experience lead, nothing too crazy for now. But keeping up on the rotations, making sure they are getting that experience and not letting Longhorn Gaming kind of get everything that they want. The sun goes out onto Pizza Dog, though, from Happy Pants. Right now, it's all about the gem hiccup. So we see a little bit ahead for Longhorn Gaming, sitting on 33. Happy Pants, silence in the midst of everything. Alarak getting the pull in. Muradin should back away here, but if that was any other character besides that Muradin, that would have spelled doom for them.
Garrosh will be waiting a lot of bushes. Out of face checks. Right as Garrosh decides to leave.
Calculated. Calculated.
Every time somebody face checks a bush, I'm going to be sweating profusely.
Be like, you don't know what's in that bush. I know what's in that bush. You don't know what's in that bush. Magnus Opus getting silenced. Resta trying to get the follow-up damage. The deflect coming out from Pizza Dog, who goes in behind enemy lines, but ends up falling to the tower shots. And that is...
He was out of shurikens. I'm like, no, Pizza Dog.
Ooh, Pizza Dog trying, and Pizza Dog falling flat there on getting that kill. Still pretty even in experience for both these teams, just trying to really build up those stats. Sitting at 48 gems for Longhorn Gaming, so they're approaching that point where these turn-in points are going to be defended, I would hope, by mildly interesting, unless they want to give up these earlier
Magnum Opus
webwingers.
will be going down in the mid lane.
This dog getting his revenge. I'm missing the kill earlier.
Muradin trying to pick up those gems. Oh, the 5 gem goes down.
Tried their best. I would
Longhorn
actually...
may be using this...
Go for it.
Longhorn may be using this man-up advantage by the Asmodam kill to get their turn in.
Yeah.
Trying to engage in the bottom lane while Garrosh and Li Ming dance in the top. Not the most optimal setup, as Li Ming can just hit Garrosh for days and not get hit in return. Garrosh going for the gank. Does not throw Muradin despite going for the follow-up Q. Touch of a misclick. There's a throw. And the hop. Follow-up stun.
Pulling onto Magno. The silence is there as well. He's deducting a lot of damage from Miss Windupper, though, down below. Going to rotate a little bit away. Jaina and Ling Ming, 2 mages going at it in the top over that turn-in. Creed going in. Magnus pulled in. Happy Pants flip. The door toss gets him out. The zombie wall keeping Happy Pants around for a little bit too long. Muradin does get away.
Genji not having enough shurikens to finishing off.
This defense is going on for quite a long time. The mana's getting used up. Happy Pants running a bit. Creedy getting low as well. Everyone's actually getting a bit low on both sides in terms of the front line. Garrosh at least has that armor from the low health. Gets a flip onto Happy Pants. Again, the dwarf toss out. Stun onto Rally. Not enough follow-up damage. Pizza Dog uses the deflect to get out. That seems... That's it.
But mildly interesting still does not have enough gems. It's just their economy has seen huge deficits.
Yeah, they've lost a few so far. They're turning in what they do have, so maybe they can fight a bit more aggressive. Russ is sitting on 21 for Longhorn Gaming, though. Just two, a couple. Oh, and they're stacking up quite a few there.
nor Ana do not have enough mana. None of them have mana for the fight. Mirrodin and Li Ming, yes. But they cannot fight right now.
Ziba going in for the tap. Alright, still just hanging behind the bush. Dunk goes out, flip onto Happy Pants. Lunar Flare misses Happy Pants using the door toss to escape. Pizza Dog taking a bit of damage from Rally and Magnus Opus there.
Rally getting a full Li Ming burst onto that Genji. Quite a hard target to hit in the first place. It's quite impressive.
Yeah. Happy Pants zoning against Caldo Soup there on the side. Wall goes out to zone. Dunk's going out. And it's all about the poke, I feel like, for Miley.
Nazeebo going full spider build.
Ooh, the spiders.
Another talent pick that's coming in very handy would be Tiranda's Spell Armor. 10 Spell Armor per heal. She can dish them out 2 at a time, up to 20 Spell Armor. Very good against a team with all spell damage. Azumdan, Li Ming, Nazeebo, all spell. Oh, Mirrodin, quite a pack.
We have first turn-in for Mildly Interesting after all those minutes of Longhorn Gaming trying to get that turn-in of their own, sitting on so many gems. I'm actually really surprised to see the first Web Weavers going this way.
Garrosh just needs to get a better throw target, or they need to have the tools to burst down Mirrodin immediately. He hops right out of there with the sliver of health bar remaining.
Yeah, that is the thing. We see a lot of flips onto the Mirrodin. Pretty, though, really low, backing away. But Mirrodin just has so much health. Ooh, Jaina going down. Miss Windup Bird being
Level 10 does pop up from Mildly Interesting. They cannot fight. And Nazeebo's going to be free pushing in the top lane. They're going to be taking the strongest lane on this map with a top lane, it being the boss lane, in addition to it being the side lane. The mid lane just is generally not strong because it's rotated across so often.
Now we see 2 forts going down on this push. Good experience boost for Mildly Interesting. I don't think, yeah, they don't have enough for another turn-in.
A huge minion wave is crashing into the bottom with plenty of spiders. They want that right now if they're not going for the turn-in. But level 10s on both sides, ultimate cooldowns are in Longhorn Gaming's favor.
Yeah, they're sitting on a lot, which is both great for them if they can get them turned in, but also terrifying if they take a team fight and end up dropping a lot of them, missing out. Events coming out from Mildly Interesting, keeping an eye on this bottom turn-in point. Jaina clearing the waves up top.
Alarak being quite the sugar daddy. If he alone is able to turn in, the objective insta-pops. Nazeebo brings out the monstrosity spectral, the Ravenous Spirit, and Genji just stashes away promptly. It's going to be a big cooldown spent.
A big cooldown. I'm wondering if Windup Bird
I gank on Li Ming in the top. I'm on Jaina, but Li Ming is sent limping away. Garrosh with a throw.
Support from the rest of the team here, but the X-Ray coming out. Rally going to fall. Li Ming dropping a bunch of gems. Happy Pants popping the Avatar, trying to escape, but Alarak coming in with the displacement. Ring of Frost used, but catches nobody. Miss Windup Bird stuck between a lot of things, and they are going to fall as well here.
That's going to be minus how many gems? 12. Taken right out of their inventory.
That's going to allow Longhorn Gaming to turn around, get this next Weaver for themselves, start to push back these lanes a bit, try to get some structures of their own, and more importantly, get closer to 13, which should hopefully arrive a bit sooner with the help of these Spider Queens coming down these lanes. Zumier, though, taking a bit of damage. Bot lane's
Tiranda desperately trying to keep health bars high. In the face of Azumbadan, this can turn out to be a huge struggle in the late game.
Taunt goes out onto Muradin. The Lunar Flare is there. Happy Pants, are they going to fall? Muradin is out of the picture, ladies and gentlemen. The Ravenous Spirit is going to come out, try to harass that Tyrande as much as possible. Can Nazeebo get the kill? And there
slapping
is
finishes are off.
Tyrande going down. 1-for-1 trade here so far.
Leeming getting the kill on Genji in the bottom. He overextends just slightly, and she's able to finish him off with a wave of force.
I was really nervous Rally had cornered themselves, and then I forgot that Li Ming has that little handy blink that gets her over walls. We still see a significant, or 1 level approximately lead in level for Mildly Interesting. Barely being able to hang on to that bottom fort. The owl misses! I wonder if the owl was trying to hit that. Finish it off. They're close to a turn-in
Great scout
for
in the
Mildly.
first place, as it like covered the bottom objective where they would be turning in shortly. All ultimates are up for Longhorn Gaming, 2 on cooldown on part of Mildly Interesting. If the fight turns up now, but Jaina getting bursted very harshly.
Yeah,
And Garrosh does not have enough of a health bar to contest himself.
Mildly Interesting pushing away Longhorn Gaming here. Alarak. Jaina going to follow the Ravenous Sphere, coming out again, harassing the backline, but Pizza Dog going in, trying to harass the Genji or the Nazeebo in return. Shadow Stalk used for the disengage. Into the fray, used for the retreat.
Pizza Dog definitely accomplished forcing Nazeebo to end the Ravenous Spirit channel. Although perhaps it wasn't forced, I doubt Genji would be able to burst a Nazeebo single-handedly, and they don't have long-range follow-up poke. In general, what we've been seeing is the combined poke of Asmodan and Lei Ming with the finishing potential of Ravenous Spirit, shredding Longhorn Gaming into pieces before the engagement even happens. But Lei Ming being caught in the middle, teleports right over the wall, goes to her team.
Dunk there, gets a bit of damage. These are web weavers though, going into keep territory, starting to work on these gates as well. Level 16's here for Mildly Interesting, so they're looking in a really good spot to push here. Genji in the mid lane trying to clear that weaver on his own. Zombie wall used for a bit of zoning. Hyperpan's trying to get the angle onto Creedy, it looks like.
Garrosh trying to get a throw in, but throw a minion by chance. The pull, but throw is off cooldown at the time. Garrosh is caught by the zombie wall. And that's a whole lot of gems being dropped onto the floor. Ravenous Spirit finishing off kills, and Leeming resets in turn. Even more gems scattered across the floor while Genji is back from clearing the wave.
Miss Wind-Up Bird with the Ravenous Spirit finishing off all those members of Longhorn Gaming. Eyes are on the core. The shields are already gone, and this is looking like a quick 2-0 for Mildly Interesting, coming in again, showing their opponents they know what's up, and they are going to advance into the finals for Division D West here in the Nexus Gaming Series. Miss Wind-Up Bird, MVP there. The first Ravenous Spirit was used in a very interesting way, but the ones after that were just so, I feel like, on point. And like you were mentioning, really just being able to follow up on a lot of the poke that Li Ming and Asmodan were really providing for the team and really setting up for those Ravenous Spirits. Looking at these stats, a bit closer in team kills. Doesn't really paint the picture though of how very slowly, it wasn't a snowball, but I would definitely say it slowly built up, and in both those games we saw eventually a 2-level lead for Mildly Interesting, so I would say they played well.
Major point. In hindsight of how the game played out, a major point where the draft might have been won or lost would be Tyrande suffering a severe case of Ariel syndrome, where you have to be engaging or auto-attacking in the first place in order to have a good healing output. When in the face of poke damage, you simply can't get your cooldown reduction by your auto-attacks going unless you be targeting minions or a wall. And, of course, Tyrande's healing output cannot deal with that much.
Yeah, that was one thing when we saw the Saranda pickup. Like, I know that she can provide support in a lot of interesting non-traditional ways. I always still get nervous even after the rework of her being on her own, to be entirely honest. Like you're saying, like she just has to be so focused on keeping everyone else up that it's she was getting those lunar flares in, but I don't know, it didn't seem like the best environment for her to really excel in.
She needs to be auto-attacking in order to get a proper amount of healing output.
All right, we are going to be having a very quick interview with the captain of Mildly Interesting, Magnus Opus. I'm gonna pull him in here real fast.
Hello.
Hello, Magnus Opus. Congratulations, 2-0 again.
Thank
Another
you.
upset, we can call it, taking on a higher seeded team than you. How are you and the team feeling after so far in all these successes you've had in the playoffs?
Really good, actually. We were really kind of dreading fighting Longhorn Gaming. They dominated us last time we fought them, and it feels really good. Sort of getting back what we lost. Sort of like a redemption match.
Mm-hmm. I love redemption matches so much. Like we see it all the time, I feel like, in playoffs specifically. It's one thing that a lot of teams always bring up is how they face against this opponent earlier on, and it's always exciting to see. Game number one, so we saw the Kerrigan let through, and as soon as it was snap picked, I think there was a little bit of hesitation from all of us, being like, "Uh-oh, Longhorn got Kerrigan," but you dealt with it so well with that Abathur composition, with the team fight monstrosity, which is something I haven't seen before. Give us kind of your thoughts on like that approach and how you're thinking about. Did you know he was going to upset the Kerrigan that well, or was that just kind of a happy accident?
That was honestly a completely happy accident. So we were actually thinking about banning Kerrigan, but with the recent nerfs come on Wednesday, we knew she's no longer like instant win if you pick her. So we just decided to let her have them because we can deal with her very well in almost any situation.
Mhm.
Honestly, what we were most scared of was that Alexstrasza. When they picked Alexstrasza, our entire team was just in tears. It was so terrifying. And Alexstrasza actually won them several team fights as well with her dragon form.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Kerrigan, it felt like she never really had that strong of a presence.
Yeah, the Kerrigan Diablo Alexstrasza in a row pickups on Infernal Shrine specifically, we were actually saying like this is such an Infernal Shrine's team draft so far. And we were expecting Kerrigan to get a lot of shielding from kind of the Q bounce around on those skeletal defenders, but regardless, you all did really well in giving her a hard time. Game number two, though, see the Asmodan and the Nazebo, two really late game heroes coming in, two specialists as well. And again, toward that late game, you were kind of steamrolling. There's usually a lot of tension, right, when you pick up two specialists. What is it about Asmodan and Nazebo specifically that you thought really came in and worked well for you in game two?
So going into it, well, first of all, we don't really see them as specialists. Asmund and Azib are both more of assassins than anything
That's
else,
fair.
honestly.
Preemptive
And go
rework, by the way, or
Yeah,
roll swaps.
yeah. So going into it, we were sort of thinking we can build late game, and which is what we did, right? Because Nazebo stacks, Asmund stacks, and we have Muradin, Ming, and Anna. We have a very solid comp, just surviving and just sort of how we delayed on that point for like 5 minutes. We
Mm-hmm.
just need to survive until we have enough stacks to steamroll late game, which is, as you said, what we did.
Yeah. And we saw the Ravenous Spirit value as well from his
Yeah,
find up
like
bird.
like the triple kill or something was amazing.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
I mean the rings last game, the Ravenous Spirit this game.
We have a great. Someone was able to clip the very last ring in that game number one because we saw
The
it go
format ring.
out and then Longhorn Gaming just kind of disappeared off the map and we were like, where'd they all go? That's very interesting. But yeah, apparently the combo of the on a sleep dart with the ring and some other stuff there just helped melt everyone.
Yep.
So, looking ahead though, so you are going to be facing next time off-brand Serial, who's only dropped one map so far at all this season in their last series. How's your team feeling? What are your initial thoughts there? Have you begun to thought about it at all so far, or?
So I'll be honest. We fought Longhorn Lafayette Serial for 4 games now, And you know how many times we've won?
How many?
0. So it's pretty terrifying. They're undoubtedly the best team in this division and probably many other divisions as well. But redemption match, as I said, so it's like it's really exciting just to get into it, get a second chance, and hopefully earn back what we lost. Really though, it's even if we lose, we'll still be second place in the tournament then, which will still be something to be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't knock that whatsoever. Well, thanks for joining us. Congratulations again on your victory today. Before we let you go, I'll give the floor to you just for some shout outs.
I hate shoutouts every time.
Well, you gotta do them.
Can I just not? I mean, there's too many people. If I forget someone, it's gonna be awkward. You know what? I shout out Gus.
Gus.
There you go. Gus OP.
Gus won us that game.
Well, thank you, Gus, for carrying Mildly Interesting in that game. And yeah, we'll be talking to you soon. Good luck in the finals.
All right, thanks. Thanks for casting, by the way.
Yeah,
really awesome.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yep, you too.
All right, take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up here for this series. But we're actually going to host over something really cool that's happening right now. The Nexus Gaming Series partnered up with Heroes Hearth and Heroes Hype for a charity tournament stream being casted by Longhorn, J-How, and Gillyweed today. So we'll swing things over there. Make sure you go support, see if you want to donate or just cheer on the teams in the tournament. But Sweet Buns, thanks so much for joining me today. Had a blast casting with you. If the fine folks want to find you on the internet, where might they be able to do that?
Thank you for having me, for one. I have a Twitter. I also have a Twitch in which I haven't streamed in a very long time. Computer science is a tough major.
Yes! Bless your soul. Yes. Well, hopefully we see you around, at least in the Discord, popping in, saying hi. And thanks also to Falendrith for the amazing observation today so that I didn't have to worry about it and got to cast the games rather than fiddle with my mouse the entire time. So thanks Val, for joining us as well. And that wraps it up for us tonight. So thanks again. Go check out the Heroes Help charity stream, and we will see you next time. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye-bye.